In a small farming village, there lived an old man whom everyone called lazy. All day long, he sat under the large tree in front of his house, staring into the distance and talking about plans he never began. He often said that one day he would open a shop, buy land, raise cows, and make money without exhausting himself. But that one day never came. At first, the villagers laughed at his words. Later, they stopped laughing and only looked at him with pity. His wife often sighed and reminded him that life cannot survive on dreams, but on hard work. He merely shrugged, still believing that somehow an easier way would appear. As the years passed, life grew more difficult. One evening, his thin grandson asked softly, "Grandpa, is there any bread left?" The grandmother opened the cupboard. It was empty. The old man lowered his head, his throat tightening. In that moment, he understood a painful truth. Dreams cannot fill a hungry stomach. Ideas without action are nothing but empty words. After that night, he could not sleep. Shame and helplessness kept him awake until dawn. As soon as the sun rose, he quietly left home to work as a laborer in the fields. The job was far harder than he had imagined. Under the burning sun, his back bent with every swing of the hoe. His once idle hands blistered and burned. Sweat stung his eyes, and his body felt chained by the weight of survival. Each evening, he returned home silently to a simple meal of beans and a few tortillas. His grandson innocently asked how much he had earned that day. Looking at the small coins in his hand, he replied softly, "Not much, but it is something." Yet the money never stayed. Medicine, food, and unexpected expenses quickly swallowed a week's hard labor. Week after week, he worked tirelessly, yet the roof still leaked and the meals remained small. He began to realize that hard labor alone was not enough to change his life. Earning money was difficult, but keeping it was even harder. A question slowly formed in his heart. Was there another way to escape this endless cycle of poverty? One afternoon at the village store, he overheard several men speaking excitedly. They said, the secret to feeling secure was saving money. "If you know how to save, you will always be safe," one man declared confidently. Those words echoed in his mind all the way home. That night, he found a large glass jar, cleaned it carefully, and placed it under his bed. From then on, he decided to save every coin after buying only what was absolutely necessary. Each week, when he received his wages, he gently dropped a few coins into the jar. The clear, clinking sound filled him with hope. He looked at the jar as if he were looking at his family's future. But saving was not easy. He refused to buy new shoes, even when the old ones were torn. The family's meals grew smaller, so he could keep a few more coins. At last, his wife could not stay silent. "What is the use of saving money if we remain hungry?" she asked. He still believed and answered that one day she would understand. Month after month, the jar slowly filled. To him, it symbolized safety and control. He believed he had finally found a way to protect their future. After many months of sacrifice, he decided to take the saved money to the market. He believed he could finally buy enough food for his family, perhaps even have a little extra. On the way, he held the bag of money tightly, filled with hope. It was not just money, it was security earned through hunger and restraint. At the stall, he placed the money on the table and asked for 3 sacks of corn. The seller counted carefully and shook his head. Prices had risen. The money was only enough for 1.5 sacks. The old man froze in disbelief. After months of sacrifice and half-empty meals, the value of his savings had shrunk simply because prices had changed. On the walk home, his steps were heavy. The money was still there, but his faith was not. That night, he poured the coins onto the table and counted them again and again, as if hoping the number would change. It did not. His grandson asked softly, "Then what is the point of saving, Grandpa?" This time, he had no answer. He realized a painful truth. Money left untouched does not grow. Over time, it can even lose its value. The following days felt heavy. His body weakened from lack of food, and disappointment weighed on his spirit. One morning, sitting on the porch, he watched neighbors pass by. One carried a basket of eggs, another bottles of fresh milk. They walked calmly, without fear or anxiety. That sight made him think. They were not just working for wages. They were raising something that produced value every day. Suddenly, he remembered his grandson's innocent question from long ago. "Why don't we raise chickens?" This time, he did not ignore it. He took the remaining money, once considered his security, and bought a few thin chickens from the market. When he released them into the yard, his grandson ran after them, laughing with joy. In the boy's eyes, he saw hope again. At first, they collected only 1 or 2 eggs a day. The family kept some to eat and sold the rest. The income was small but steady. He carefully recorded each egg in a small notebook. When he had saved enough, he bought more chickens. Gradually, the yard filled with clucking sounds. For the first time, he felt his work was creating something truly valuable. Holding an egg in his hand, he told his grandson, "This is worth more than a jar of money. It feeds us, and it can multiply." He finally understood that money only has meaning when it's put into action to create new value. From the day they had chickens, life in the small house began to change. No more silent, rationed meals. Now there was laughter and the lively sounds of the flock each morning. The old man no longer sat under the tree, dreaming empty dreams. He was busy feeding the chickens, collecting eggs, and calculating daily sales. His eyes no longer looked distant and vague, but clear with the understanding of action. One afternoon, holding a freshly gathered egg, he said to his grandson, "Saving money is like holding water in your hands. It will eventually slip away, but if you make it grow, it will feed you." The boy hugged him and laughed. "So you're not lazy anymore?" The old man smiled, his eyes moist. It was not that he was no longer lazy. He had finally learned the greatest lesson of his life. The glass jar that once seemed like a treasure was forgotten beneath the bed. He no longer believed in keeping money still. He believed in making it work for him, even if starting small. And from then on, he would tell everyone, "Do not just save money, make it grow."